questions.
Mr. President, I thank my colleague from Illinois. Thank heaven I have my support hose on today. Been standing here for quite a while. And I just wanted to say, and I do have a question, but I think that I want my colleagues to know, especially with the passion presented by Senator Moseley Braun and my friend Bill Bradley, who is a really wonderful friend, a dear friend, a fond friend, speaking from his heart as he does, to phrase a question, but to say first that I voted for Senator Moseley Braun's position in judiciary because I was deeply impressed by her powerful argument, and at the time I was impressed by her eloquence and tried to have a sensitivity to her urgings, and what she has said today needs no further comment from me as to the power in which she spoke. And then today I voted no on the motion to table. And that was a very difficult thing for me to do. Seeing the votes, 11 Democrats, 4 Republicans, thinking of the party of Lincoln, thinking of history is what I was trying to think of. And thinking, did this organization come to pass out of racism? Because that's what we're talking about. Let's clean out everything else in the chamber. That's where we have come to racism. And I went back to find out about this organization. And I found that 4 times in this body, by unanimous vote of Democrats and Republicans, in 1926, in 1941, in 1963, and in 1977, long after the days of the great struggle on civil rights, this, quote, simple measure passed this body unanimously. And so I tried to think, how did we get to this point where it is such a focal point of racism? And then I tried to think of history. And I tried to imagine why this group was formed. And I went through those things. It was a very troublesome bit of research. And I went and remembered about our party and Abe Lincoln. And I remembered, too, that we have many wonderful black Republicans who support my party. So Abe Lincoln was trying to preserve the Union, not trying to destroy slavery, although that was certainly a great part of his movement, but he was trying to preserve this Union. And as he said in his addresses so eloquently, that for the unrequited toil of the bondsman, how much do we invest in this destructive and terrible thing? But it came to me, and it just doesn't leave, that we should target an organization that had never evidenced a scintilla of racism in its members, as far as I know. I think that is in itself a divisive and non-productive type of activity. And the day we voted, and this one stuck in my craw, we approved the charter of the American Legion, of which I'm a member. And the American Legion, in its beginnings, never allowed any blacks into membership. And we didn't do anything with the charter of the American Legion. It seemed to me that was a time to address that, but they have a lot of power, and that was long ago. That extraordinary letter that this extraordinary woman colleague has read from happened 30 years before the organization that we're talking about was founded. 30 years before those stirring remarks there, and they're all real and they're ugly. But that was long before this organization was founded, 30 years. I think it seems to me, and that when we say that this is simply about slavery and preserving an organization that still embraces or has some feeling about that, I think others in good faith, and I mean in good faith, might take issue with the statement about the historical perspective of the Civil War. Historians debated those issues for many years. It's not my purpose to add or detract from that debate. But what I know is this: a majority of people fought in that war and knew nothing about what they were doing. Blacks fighting alongside whites in the North, blacks fighting alongside whites in the South, and a majority of those combatants were poor working men and were drafted who ultimately gave their lives. I don't know that they had a great ideological commitment to the controversial issues of the day, but we are certainly bringing it back today. And I just have the most curious conflict as to whether we shouldn't maybe engage in the benefit of the doubt that this organization is not racist, and because they have that flag they're not racist, and that they do good things, and Ovida Culp Hobby was the head of this organization at one time, who was one of our great women patriot heroes. Enough. My question, yes, the question. The question is, what do you feel about what this body that is being reviled today, what do you feel about what this body was doing in the years of 1926, 1941, 1963, and 1977? Were these senators, these people of good faith, Democrats and Republicans alike, involved in some kind of racist decision-making or voting when on 4 separate occasions they unanimously embraced the approval of the design of this organization?
I would just respond by saying they didn't notice it. I mean, that was said in the debate earlier. It just happened. And it just happened because there was nobody around to bring attention to what was clearly and obviously a mistake, what was clearly and obviously something that this body didn't need to do,